In this powerful story of heartbreak and healing, a monk shares how one cruel birthday wish led to a life-changing awakening. When his own son asked him to disappear, he walked away not in defeat, but in wisdom. What followed was a journey of grief, self-discovery, and the quiet revenge of becoming whole again. If you've ever been hurt by those closest to you, this story will touch your soul and open your heart. Share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever had to walk away from someone you loved? If this story moved you, subscribe to the channel for more monk-inspired life lessons, emotional journeys, and real stories that touch the soul. Tap the bell so you don't miss the next one. I remember the day clearly, so vividly. In fact, that sometimes I still hear the echoes of his voice when the wind brushes past my ears. It was my son's 30th birthday, a day meant for celebration, a day I had waited for with quiet anticipation, planning a small gesture, a cake, and a humble gift. I'd carved myself a hand-polished wooden timepiece with an inscription: "Time is precious, but love is eternal." Instead, what I received was a gift wrapped in silence, tied with rejection. He looked me in the eye, and without hesitation, he said, "Dad, this year, I want something different for my birthday." I smiled and nodded. "Anything?" He replied, "I want you to disappear." I laughed at first, thinking it was a joke, but his face remained cold and passive. "I'm serious." He added, "It's time you left. You're not needed anymore." In that moment, something inside me shattered, not in anger, not in pain, but in revelation. You see, I wasn't always a monk. Once, I was a man who gave everything, every coin, every moment, every ounce of love to raise a boy alone after his mother died. I skipped meals so he could eat. I slept on the floor so he could dream comfortably. I sacrificed opportunities, relationships, even my own ambitions, all for him. But life doesn't pay back in the currency of sacrifice. It pays back in clarity. And sometimes, clarity comes in the form of a cruel wish made on a birthday. That night, I packed a single bag. No drama, no arguments, just silence. I left my house, the same house I built with my hands, and walked away. I walked until the noise in my head turned into the silence of the forest. And there, I stayed, in a monastery tucked away from time. Why do I share this story with you? Because the pain you carry, the betrayal you feel, the grief that sits in your chest like stone, it's not the end. It is a beginning. In the monastery, my teacher once told me, attachment blinds even the wisest eyes. When love turns to expectation, suffering begins. I realized I had clung to my son, not as a person, but as a purpose. My identity became so tied to being a father that I forgot I was also a man, a soul on his own journey. Sometimes the people we love the most will hurt us the deepest, not out of hatred, but out of their own blindness, their own unhealed wounds. His words, "I want you to disappear," were not a reflection of my worth. They were a mirror of his own emptiness. Months passed in silence. I wrote no letters. I made no calls. But one day, a visitor came to the monastery, a woman in tears, clutching a baby. It was my daughter Law. She told me that my son had lost everything. His business failed. His friends abandoned him. His health was declining, and now he lay in a hospital asking for me. You may expect me to say I rushed to his side, tears flowing, ready to forgive. But no, I sat still. You see, I had learned something in those quiet months. Forgiveness is not the same as forgetting. And love, real love, doesn't always mean returning. I went to the hospital, yes, but not for closure. I went because I had already forgiven him in the silence of the trees. I walked in not as a father desperate for love, but as a monk peaceful, grounded, ready to offer presents, not permission. He cried. He held my hand. He said he was sorry, and I listened. Then I left out because sometimes the deepest act of love is to walk away and let others learn to stand in the temple. We burn incense to honor the ancestors, even those who abandoned us. We do not do this because they were perfect, but because they are part of us. Likewise, you cannot choose your family, but you can choose your peace. Do not cling to those who harm you simply because they share your blood. Respect yourself enough to walk away from tables where love is not served. Grieve not the people you lose, but the illusions you held about them. And when the time comes, do not seek revenge. The most powerful form of revenge is healing. Become so whole, so peaceful, that those who hurt you wonder why their weapons never broke you. 3 years after I left my old life, my son returned not as a man demanding love, but as a man seeking guidance. He shaved his head. He took a vow. He sat beside me on the temple floor. I didn't lose a father. He whispered, I lost my own way, and now I want to find it. Life is strange. The boy who asked me to disappear became the man sitting silently by my side. Learning how to truly see if someone has made you feel unworthy, unwanted, or invisible, remember, you do not need their approval to exist. You do not need their apology to heal. You do not need to scream your pain to be heard by the universe. Live well, love without clinging, walk away without hatred, and in time, those who are meant to see you